Hi, this is TJ Chambers. My YouTube channel is the TJ Chambers. And anyway, I don't really have much on there. I've got more that I need to do there. But I decided to do a video on just some things that I just found unusual with the NASA photos. And I wanted to share that and just see what other people think. I'm not a photo expert, and I was just messing with it, just saw some things that I thought were weird, so I want to show those to you. And as you can see up here at the top, this is really coming from the NASA website. I'm not into faking pictures or anything like that. I'm just taking these pictures straight from the website and using a image editor that anybody can use. It's called Pixlr at pixlr.com, and this is the web app as they call it, and just operates just like Photoshop, except for it's a web-based program. Okay. Oh, well, see, can I undo that? No, I cannot. I just had a photo that I was going to look at, and I accidentally closed it. So what I'm going to do is move on to the next photo. And this one here was one of the Apollo photos. And this one is Aldrin, and descends down onto the moon. And so you can read about that here. So it's going to right click and just open up in a new tab, which is going to open this high res. I'm going to copy the URL, and that's coming straight from NASA, as you saw. Open image here, and I'm going to put the URL in, and it's going to pull it straight from NASA's website, so you know I didn't do anything to it. And if I go up here to adjustments, I'm just going in and just messing around, changing the brightness, changing the contrast, see if anything really jumps out at me. And so nothing with the brightness, contrast, hue and saturation, anything? Nope, things just changing color. Not really anything. Nothing really jumps out, just things changing colors I would expect. And this is where I started finding some unusual things happening, like I changed the red offset. And so here we got solid color, got some, I don't know, noise, whatever you want to call that. I'm like, okay, whatever. Maybe it's something, maybe it's nothing. So just mess around, changing colors around, just to see if there's anything that really stands out. Just a little more noise in the background. Maybe something, may not be anything. So that one, not really seeing anything that really jumps out at me. So let's move on to the next one, which is supposed to be a picture of the Earth from Apollo 4. And just going to go here, copy the URL. Paste it in. Okay, same thing. Change the brightness, contrast. Nope, not really seeing anything. Nope, nothing really jumps out at me. Just going to jump over to color balance. Well, that's interesting. So we saw that last photo with the black sky. There was like hardly anything, just a little bit of noise or whatever you would like to call it. But this one has some really interesting things showing up here in the red. Like, I don't know what all of this stuff is and what all this in the background is. That seems to be a little unusual to me, but I don't know. So now we do the green. So there's definitely some stuff happening in the background, and in the dark shadow. Got blue. So definitely some really weird stuff. And I'm purposely showing you these different images because I want you to see space. Because there are some pictures where I found some kind of weird things going on. And so when you look at these different photos, then you get to see kind of the idea of what is happening in space, in the black dark space from NASA photos. So when weird things really show up, it's like that is really weird. So in this one, right, we're not really seeing much of anything different. And let's go to color. So this one also has some kind of, I guess, a little what I call just strange, like what is all this supposed to be? And what is this dividing line? So we didn't see that in the other picture. And in the other picture, it was like, so this almost looks like Earth is a rocket ship taking off, but the other one kind of was angled like it was up against something almost. So just the fact that the noise is just changing shapes and going different directions seems to be a little odd to me. And the shadow that's going around Earth, that different things are happening, that it's not consistent, just all seems to be really strange. And then we've got some blue stuff going on in this right corner as well as the top corner. Whoops, let's go to the next picture. I mean, I would think that things would be more consistent with any noise or anything showing up. So brightness, saturation. Yep, not really, nothing really standing out. And check the color on this one. Now, this picture going red, like there's barely anything happening, which I find very unusual that with the noise for red there's almost nothing. I mean, it almost seems to me that just seems that there's something really fishy about that. See, again with blue, hardly anything. And we got this little bit of blue here, so why is this showing up out in the middle of nothing? Got a tiny bit here. Like, this whole thing was filled up before when we did blue. Now there's nothing. Or I say very little. So, I mean, that to me says that something's really fishy, like maybe these photos are fake, or maybe they're doctored. They're just something really weird. And this is at 13% because these pictures are extremely large. And if you look at the edge of the Earth, I mean, it's pretty smooth. Let me try something here. Brightness. So that's a really smooth edge there. Alright, let's check this next one out. Okay, adjustment. Now there's a couple things in this picture going on that are really weird looking. Down here in this corner, there's something that seems to be, I don't know if that's coming shooting out this way. There's like some like smudge or something right here. I'm seeing something red right there, and this almost looks like there's like an explosion or something coming off the top of the earth, which would have to be pretty massive. So there are some weird things happening right now that you keep an eye on. Okay, so we're already starting to see some different things showing up. And this is hue and saturation, something a little different. Yes, that doesn't show anything. Now, this one, see, there's some really bizarre things happening right now. It's really weird. Look at all this noise and all this stuff that's happening in the background. When we've had pictures that had very little to some noise, we've had pictures that had absolutely nothing, like when they're walking on the moon. Now all of a sudden we've got all kinds of just weird stuff coming off the top. We've got this stuff coming out from behind the earth. Got this big smudge thing here. But what's this? Is this a clock? What is that? So now, just in this noise, now we've got this square up here. So there's something that's right there. And so there's definitely something here. So it's almost, it's like these pictures are faked or something. I don't know. So let me just keep it like this and go in at 100%. So there's that smudge or whatever it is. So here's that object that looks like almost like a clock. You can see that there's a round shape in here. And actually you can see it going all the way around for the most part. And it's almost like a second hand and the two main hands. So, what is it that they'd have a clock in the background? So there's like some type of backdrop, or is this like some type of like gauge or something? Like what did they do that they have to like put all this stuff in here, and someone has a clock, and some people might go crazy like, oh, this is some alien stuff now. NASA is famous for fakery, and there's definitely some kind of fakery going on here that this gauge or this clock would just show up in the background like that. I don't know if it's like some type of cloth backdrop that they have over this, or I don't know, there's something, because you can see this clock thing showing through the picture. And so I grabbed some other photos from this NASA website, and I was taking a look at them. You will see some of these different photos. There's only a couple more that I have. I could make this even longer and do a lot more, but I didn't want to do that. So I just grabbed a couple of them because I just wanted to take a look. And there's this one very famous picture that I definitely wanted to grab, and that was this one of Earth. Because this is you showing, proving that one, the Earth is a globe. Two, whenever you look up pictures of Earth, most of the time it is this one that you will see that's used all over the place. So let's see. We'll get to that one. Just got a few pictures left. So all these are coming out of that NASA website, or a different section, because they're all coming from NASA. Alright, so we're just going to continue with the same thing and just see if things look normal or some weird things just show up. And I just started doing this one the other day. I don't say one day, but it was the other day I just started messing around with, like, what would happen if I just started changing some of this stuff? Would anything really stand out? And to my surprise, I started seeing some really weird things. Like we just saw that clock. And I still got more coming. So let's see, now we can start changing the hue. So you notice with the red, we changed the red and we got, like, I don't know, these things outlined and traced in this background. I don't know if that means anything or not. But we've seen in other pictures where we didn't see any of that kind of stuff at all whatsoever. When we go green, we've got some up here, and we've got that trace in the background there. But you also notice that even though it traces the outline, but this one starts to go up. Almost like there's something going up right there. Which, interesting enough, that's also, so that is that coming off of his suit? I don't know if there's something coming off his suit. I know there's some people who said that he was strung by like a wire that the astronauts were. So possibly that, or there's an antenna or something there. I can't really tell, but I noticed something there now that's kind of white. So nothing too crazy here, but we are starting to see some things in the background that we have not seen in previous pictures where we've seen there were nothing. So we can move on to the next one. So here's a picture of Earth from the moon. Now assume that there are pictures of, I don't know, there's stars or something in the background, like over here. Hopefully that's not on my screen. Because they said that, oh, well, the reason why they didn't see stars on the moon was because of the way the cameras were, whatever. But we'll see. We got some objects in here. So we've got something here, something there, which could be, like, this could be a star, could be a star, could be a star, but this one, I don't know, looks like two things kind of together. And there's some like lightness over here. Yeah, and there's definitely some stuff. It just looks a little strange right there, but said nothing real significant, so it may not be anything. Let's go to color. Whoa. Now, this is a lot. Now, think about this. This is a lot of activity going on right here. Notice that we've got this circle shape around the Earth, but if it's outlining the object of Earth, it should be outlining Earth. Like, remember, we saw it going along the edge of the moon in the other picture, but this one doesn't have it where we see going along the edge of the moon. It's kind of there, but now we also see that we've got some, seems to be like something over here that goes straight up and down. This goes up around Earth, so it's almost like this Earth right here. It's almost like there's, it's bigger, and it's not perfect. So it's, I don't know, there's just, it's weird. Now I can say what I think it is, like there's like some type of cutout or something, and it actually is bigger than this Earth, and that's why it's outlining around it. So definitely something weird there. But look at all this activity, and we haven't seen activity like this in other pictures. And it outlined the moon before, now it doesn't. Now we've got what seems to be like some big object or something right here, and we've got stuff going on over here. So definitely something unusual happening with the background. Now, when we turn on green, notice that some of the stuff starts to change. Some of it's black, some of it turns green. So whatever these things are have different colors than these. So this is definitely some kind of manipulation of something, that even the colors are different from what we're seeing. So whatever's here, whatever this is, whatever this is, whatever this is, and whatever this is different than what this stuff is. So that's definitely something that's unusual for sure. Very unusual. And I just want to see something at 100%. 100%. So it looks, it's, I don't know, just very strange if you ask me. So let's look at Earth. This famous picture of Earth. Let's see here. So nothing really. Don't really see anything unusual. Now, here's one thing, when I'm looking at this, one thing I thought was kind of weird. It seems to me that there's like some green, there's like some kind of shading that it seems to be going up and around, but it seems to be like there's some green that's down here, that goes all the way around this side. And just by looking at this, I don't know of anything that should just be green all the way down here. 49%. Let's come back here. So that's one thing, if you look closely, just seems to be that there. Yeah, let's go back to 49% so we can see the whole Earth. Anything in hue and saturation. So when I turn off the hue, you can definitely see that there's something different over here, as I was pointing out, because that shade changes color than everything else. There's definitely something there. Something happening, I should say, there. Okay, let's go to color. See if we get anything in the noise area. Well, so when we go to red, we've got some noise around. So we've got a little bit that goes here. We've got some down here at the bottom. So there's way more activity out here. So not a whole lot of noise here, which is really weird thinking about the other pictures that we had. Some strange things. So we see it in the blue as well. Just shows up. And so you notice that we've got the color changes. So whatever this stuff is, again, it's not all the same because some of it's black, some turns to green. We've got this green outline. We've got this green outline that seems to go from all the way around to here, but we don't have this green outline that continues, and just by changing the color offset, we see that all this color, all these things there's so many different colors here, which doesn't make any sense as to why there are so many different colors with all these, whatever this stuff is out here. Why this stuff isn't all the same color? Why do we have this green outline that goes around there when we haven't had that green outline before? So just some unusual things happening, and we're supposed to be told that all this stuff was taken from space, and it's, I don't know. And I wanted to use pictures from a long time ago because that would have been the camera technology they had then. I didn't want to confuse it with camera technology that we have today that may change things. So I'm only using stuff from these various missions. There's another one, not sure what that is, supposed to be above this object. And let's see, go to color balance. Let's see what we get. Now, if you see that this object here is all outlined with those black things. But what we also have is a bunch of it inside this open space. And we've also got some here. It's almost like whatever this is, it's like it's connected somehow. Almost like this is a cutout, and that's why this is all maybe shaded in, and we see we've got it in here. Maybe this is a cutout, and maybe this is taped. Yeah, probably not taped, but I don't know. Just kind of weird how there's none of that noise in the background except for right here. Now I'm going to show you another picture to where they're just objects in a room, and it also outlines those objects, and it should be a real picture or whatever. But so you see outlining this picture is all this different color. And that's, I mean, we've got a lot of different colors and light and things like that here. So like I said, I'm not an expert on this stuff. I just think there's a lot of just weird things showing up. I mean, how is there no noise out here, but on that last picture of Earth we saw, there was all kinds of noise. And we've got one more. So I wanted to show this picture. Because we just see this normal picture here. Close these items. And, you know, see some objects. We see some people, see some screens and this and that. A wall. And we do some change of brightness. We start seeing some other objects that were kind of hidden in the dark. And go to color, change it to red. Now when we change it to red, notice something here that we see some of those black blocks like we saw, and it's outlining the object of the desk. We see the black dots outlining the objects of these control stations. So these are objects in the picture, and it's like some table or something over there. And that object's outlining that. We see that this rectangle is being outlined, and then there's this like TV screen or monitor or whatever, and it's all being shaded in by those blocks. And then we see this rectangle here being outlined. Now, not this whole thing is being outlined. And we see a little bit of outlining of that object. We see like this air vent or whatever this is kind of outlined by those blocks. And we see this pole here for this light. I assume that's just a light. And that's being outlined. So we can see these are objects that are being outlined in the room. So if that's what those things do, is they outline objects in the picture, then what is in the picture of Earth and space? So now when we go green, we can really see a lot more objects being outlined all around, squares and rectangles, and we see more of this thing hanging from the ceiling being outlined. See a lot of different noise over here, a lot more here. You see here we've got some outlining of this guy's head and this guy's body. So we've got all these objects and all this noise outlining things in the room, and over here we see a bunch of things being outlined. So I just find that fascinating that these blocks are outlining objects, and it makes me wonder what was, we go to blue, I mean look at this, all that. So what was in those other pictures in space? What about that space that had the clock in it? What was that all about? So I mean that's definitely some odd things that you can find, so to speak, plain sight, things that are just hidden right in the pictures, and you just start changing the hue and everything, and just weird things start showing up. So that's just some of my observations that I started coming across when looking at pictures, and anyone that can explain that kind of stuff in pictures, please do so I can understand. But like that clock and whatever, and some of that shading and how it all doesn't show up in all the pictures of space is definitely some weird things. It really shows that, I don't know, there's plenty of stuff that NASA's not telling us about their pictures. And I also think to some degree it shows some fakeness in the pictures or manipulation or something that's going on.